What's up, everybody? I'm back with the final movie review of tonight. Merry Christmas. I'll be covering the Christmas Chronicles 2. Just reviewed the first one. Now I want to cover the sequel. It came out in 2020. Now I'm pretty sure when it was released, the film was being worked on probably a year and a half prior. Not too long after the first one, well, I'm not sure when they started filming. I'm pretty sure it's like maybe if the first one was released in 2018, so I imagine they worked on it 2016 again to 2017. So by the time that film was released, a few months later, they probably started working on the sequel. So by 2019 getting, well, probably by late 2018 getting to 2019, they started working on it, and it probably started, wrapping up and finishing up the post production getting into 2020. So they managed probably, not probably, they probably avoided the whole COVID situation. So that's why you don't see nothing weird stuff like social distancing and all this other stuff. Luckily. But yeah, a lot of people make a return from the previous film. Once again, well, no, I'm about to say once again it was directed by the previous director. No, this one was directed by Chris Columbus. It's definitely got Chris Columbus vibes to it. Well, we got Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn returning as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. And I gotta say, smart idea casting Goldie Hawn because they're not legally married. They managed to pull off. Well, not managed. I think that's probably like the way to go in terms of coming together. I'm pretty sure they would be considered unofficially husband and wife, but not in a legal standard. They managed to like be together, knowing they got a good thing going, have a family, all this other stuff, without having to go through the legal mumbo jumbo of the whole marriage thing. But they have great chemistry. They love each other. I mean, like, you've seen them together. They could really care about each other, and they ain't muddying up by the whole legality of marriage. But their chemistry is just flows right into this film. Oh God, that's why you just love seeing these two, and I think Goldie Hawn makes an excellent Mrs. Claus. Honestly, I can't think of anybody who played a Mrs. Claus that I say like, oh wow, that was a spot on Mrs. Claus. We've seen a Mrs. Claus in movies before, but nobody really stood out to be like a memorable Mrs. Claus. The closest one is probably the Tim Allen's version of Mrs. Claus, but even still, she doesn't do much to really like, make a splash. Can you honestly remember anything? I mean, I'm pretty sure you remember stuff from the Santa Claus 2. However, that's before she was officially Mrs. Claus. But when she actually put up got the mantle for some time and get into Santa Claus 3, even when they did like brought everybody back for like a mini series, I don't remember anybody making any kind of post about, oh my God, this Mrs. Claus scene was like this and XYZ. None of that. Goldie Hawn is probably the only one. Is probably the only one to be remembered as like the best Mrs. Claus for a good years to come. Darby Camp, Kimberly Williams Presley, and Judah Lewis make a return as the Pierces. However, we got new people coming in. We got Tyrese Gibson and Jazier Bruno as uh, Bob and Jack Booker. We got Julian Dennison as Belsnickel. If you don't remember Julian Dennison, you might remember him in Deadpool 2 as Foil Fist. I can't do a New Zealand accent, so sorry. And somebody made a joke about this kid because the little movies that he was in that was heavily promoted at the very least, it's always him burning down something. I'm not sure he's being typecast as a pyromaniac or something, but it's just like, it's kind of weird. He's always, if not some kind of crazy pyromaniac, he's always messing up or destroying something or just being displayed as a punk kid, which hopefully as his career progresses, he kind of gets out of that typecasting and really kind of strut his stuff as an actor. But it's also like a joke that he kind of looks like a male version of Rebel Wilson, which is kind of spot on. Anyway, the movie begins as the Bookers and the Pierces are celebrating Christmas in Cancun. It's only been like a couple of years since the events of the first film, and Kate is not having it. Bob Booker has been dating their mom for a while, and they are under the assumption that sometime soon he'll be asking her to marry her. And he has a son, because he was a single father. He has a son who seems probably got like some level of anxiety, and he's kind of a scaredy cat. And of course, Kate, it's not like an assassination of the character, but this seems like a stark contrast to how we knew Kate from the previous film. Now, I think most people will let it slide because she is, officially a teenager now. So she is kind of a Grinch, not in terms of Christmas, but in terms of her mom's new relationship. Now, I can see her point of view a little bit because it's only been, canonically wise, a couple of years since the father's passing, and not only she's jumping straight into a new relationship right away, but also going on this big trip where we don't see the whole resort, but it's just under assumption it's kind of romantic and it's not something you want to bring your kids to, because let's be honest, these two are getting a freak on heavily. But not only that, you know full well this woman is jumping on that black dick like nobody's business. She not only got a new man, she got the blackest man, and like she's just like all in. No shade whatsoever, do you? But I'm pretty sure the kids would find it kind of not only, I want to say jarring, not in terms of the race, but the fact that how quickly she's jumping into a new relationship. I'm pretty sure it would be the case with any guy of any race. But man, she went all in with this black dude, and you can tell this dude's been sniffing around this single mom for a minute, and she was checking him out for at least some point, because it seems kind of fast, not crazy fast, like they just, luckily he's not some bad dude or anything like that. Luckily, it's just like a normal dude, but this seems kind of quick. I think they've only been together for at least a year at this point, but it's just like, okay, slow down. You can, it's relatively quick just to go on some kind of trip, But bring your kids along seems also equally fast. I think I think it's reasonable to wait a couple of years before you want to do a whole quote unquote family trip before you like an official family. Because yeah, you can tell this gonna be like a proposal kind of thing. It's moving fast. So of course Kate isn't sitting right with it compared to Teddy, who's sees the guy who seems like an all right dude, but she's in her feelings. So she is like kind of wishing that making a Christmas wish to Santa to take her away from all this stuff because she feels like everybody's kind of forgetting the father. It's uh, you can argue that the first movie is more centered on Teddy's journey and growth. Now we kind of focus on the daughter and her growth because Teddy had to get over his grief of losing uh, the father because he was old enough to understand while the girl was young, was aware, but was still young enough where she didn't really have to process it the same way as the older kid did because he had more time with the father, so it hurts probably a little bit more. But she was still aware. So now, as she's gotten older, she's not used to the idea of her mom moving on. I never contemplating on the thought of that will be a possibility. So she is going through that. Meanwhile, we are introduced to this character named Belsnickel, played by Dennison. And of course, this movie has some good lore references involving certain folklore creatures. Like Belsnickel is an actual folklore character that is like not like Krampus, because he wants to like he's kind of crotchety. Let me get like the wiki on this guy. As a crotchety fur-clad Christmas gift-bringer figure in the folklore of Palatinate region of southwestern Germany, along the Rhine, the Saarland, and the Odenwald area of Baden or Württemberg. The figure is also preserved in Pennsylvania Dutch communities and Brazilian German communities. Belsnickel is related to other companions of Saint Nicholas in the folklore of German-speaking Europe. He may have been based on an older German myth, König Ruprecht. I might be butchering the Germanic words here, so forgive me. A servant of Saint Nicholas and a character from northern Germany. Unlike those figures, Belsnickel does not accompany Saint Nicholas, but instead visits alone and combines both the threatening and the benign aspects, which in other traditions are divided between Saint Nicholas and the companion figure. Belsnickel is a man wearing fur. He is typically very ragged and disheveled. He wears torn, tattered, and dirty clothes, and he carries a switch in his hand with which to beat naughty children, but also pockets full of cakes, candies, and nuts for good children. So, it's like a short breakdown on that character. So they actually put in some legit folklore. He also has, in this movie he is considered an elf, and kind of sort of evil elf, or the main antagonist. Well, the proper title would be nefarious elf, I guess. And he has like his own little elf sidekick, but he also has a uh, uh, Yule cat named Jula. Now the Yule cat is also from it was from Icelandic folklore. Uh, it is a huge, vicious cat from Icelandic folklore that is said to lurk in the snowy countryside during the Yule season and eat people who do not receive new clothing. In other versions of the story, the cat only eats food of people who had not received new clothing. Uh, Yule cat is closely associated with other figures from Icelandic folklore, considered the pet of the ogress Grilla and her sons Yule lads. So, so it's like a good use of uh, various folklore of the Yule season, and so very, very well done. Um, so he has a plan to take over. Not only, well, he doesn't plan on stopping Christmas, he wants to take over Christmas. So he hatches a scheme to uh, find, after the events of the first film, he finds out through his little uh, elf lackey that there was a true believer human at the North Pole a couple of Christmases ago. So he decides to use her as bait. So he tracks her down in Cancun, pretending to be like a tour guide, separating everybody from the girl. But unfortunately, Jack was tagging along with her. Now, my biggest gripe with this film is it feels like, for some reason, they kind of pushed out the brother entirely. I don't want him to be useless, but I don't want him being forgotten. That always grinds my gears in certain movies and or just sequels in general, where a person who was like a big part of the cast in the first film is just in the second film, when somebody else is getting kind of like the focus, pushes the other person completely out of it, where they could have helped. They don't need to be the main focus like in the previous film, but they have to be a part of this. And he seems completely forgotten about until like the last point of the movie. This is, in my opinion, that seems like unfair to the character and the actor playing the character. It's like, come on, he was a great character, and why would you push him aside? There's no way you was gonna push the girl aside, because the sort of focus was on the brother and his arc. So Belsnickel throws the kids into the wormhole, lands them in the North Pole, where Santa is tracking down the Yule cat, trying to capture it. Sees that the kids are stranded, helps them, brings them back to the North Pole. Using this opportunity, Belsnickel, sneaks on board so he can get past the barrier that's hiding Santa's village, so he can get through the barrier, because he's kind of tagging along. So the barrier is because without the connection with Santa or the sleigh getting through the barrier wouldn't let him through. So this is kind of like a worm. He found like a loophole to get back inside. Santa and Mrs. Claus revive the children using hot cocoa, and they decide to show the kids around. And of course, in this partly doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. Don't know why they need to add this into like as like a seems like they're trying to set up like a subplot or something. I'm not sure, but you can clearly see that Santa and Mrs. Claus always wanted actual children for themselves, so they kind of live vicariously through these kids, showing them around the workshop, where you can see them not only making actual toys like traditionally that you expect Santa Claus to make, but he also has like a whole entire room where they're actually making video games. And I like this line where, kind of paraphrasing, where Santa points out, it's like, if you combine all like the warehouses and Amazon Prime and FedEx and UPS, all these people, and you combine all their resources and they hyper focus on one singular job, uh, they can probably come close to what we do in a single day. Uh, like I said, I'm paraphrasing, but I just love that line. It's showing how extensive and hardworking and crazy they do their job and making sure letters are answered and coming up with the naughty and nice list and the particular items that was asked for is created in some kind of way and delivered. And I still love the design of the elves. Still like their attitude, maintain that little craziness side of themselves. But when they work on something, man, they do it in like a zippy fashion. That's why you couldn't do this with actual people. I think it was smart to make these CGI creatures, which, by the way, I didn't mention in the first one, but they smartly use the budget for the CGI very well. They use it to the right purposes because sure, you can tell certain CGI stuff, but it still looks good, and that's what you want because they smartly budgeted it. There's no, unlike the Marvel films or DC films, they don't overflate the budget to the point where they can barely break even. You get the proper budget and use it for the money for its proper use for certain things. Then of course, unlike a Marvel film, the people behind the scenes here ain't spreading themselves thin to try to do other projects underneath the Netflix name. So that's one of the other reasons why they ain't spreading themselves thin. They can focus on one thing at a time. So everything is powered up by the Star of Bethlehem, or Star of Jerusalem, that's at the center of Santa's village, which was some stupid crack from Kate. I'm not sure why this was written in here. It's like, because Santa points out a lot of the village was designed and came up with by Mrs. Claus, and Kate was like, why don't we call it Mrs. Claus's village? And I'm like, because it's not. It's like Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus gets her respect, but it says village because he started all that stuff. You know, Mrs. Claus typically comes later, so typically, you know, we're under the assumption that, well, we get this kind of backstory with Santa in this film, so I think they still kind of maintain the fact that he started this by himself and Mrs. Claus came later. So, you know, he was the starting point, so he gets to pick the name. Or people in general come up with it. I'm not sure which one came first, but she doesn't get the name. And, like, it's a weird thing to tag on. I get it. Maybe they're trying to be funny, but maybe it's just we're so used to this whole girl bossing crap in the past few years. Now we can't help but hear certain things that could have just been left as a benign joke back in the day. Now we kind of look at it, it's like, ugh, disgust. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they didn't mean it that way. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's just like, oh my god. Uh, Sorry. Whew. Probably should have stretched before I started streaming. Anyway, uh, I'm glad they roped in also because Christmas is also part of Christianity, hence the name. And the village is powered by the Star of Bethlehem. That's why inside the bubble, they don't age. Uh, and everything is just kind of run on that power for ages. So, uh, Kate wants to stay here because she just kind of want to runs away, trying to run away from her problems, and it's kind of a shame on the clauses here because they know full well that they can't keep the kids here. If there was orphans that might have been different and somehow made their way here. A, they took too long to explain what exactly happened and then putting two to two together like something's afoot here. And B, you're trying to, again, you want your own kids here and for some reason you can't birth your own. Maybe it got some kind of do with the trade-off with the immortality thing. I'm not sure. They never explain it. But it's just like, full well you can't keep these kids here. You know they couldn't. Well, you did technically kidnap kids last movie, but that was some weird circumstances. Here, there's literally no excuse. You full well you gotta take these kids back, and you definitely gotta do it before the parents realize the kids are missing. You gotta literally got a day before that happens. But they decided to keep the kids overnight, at the very least, before they take them back home. That's where Mrs. Claus regales the kids of the story of Santa Claus, which they combine with the actual person who went by Saint Nicholas, that is later truncated to Santa Claus, and how he started this whole entire holiday, and how he gathered these elves that's come from this wooden forest back in the day. What is Speck is the Belsnickel's little sidekick. But Nicholas was born in Turkey before 312 AD. And he helped these elves from getting hunted down by humans. One of them being Belsnickel, who, after helping them, created the first star that powers up the village currently right now. And most of the elves go to work with Nick. Belsnickel was one of his right hands. Now it's still early on in his Santa Claus career, where this is probably before the world got a whole lot bigger and civilization became more advanced. Everything is all cool until humanity kind of evolved, technology evolved, the world got bigger, so Santa Claus got a lot busier, which causes Belsnickel to feel resentment because he kind of feels neglected. But that's dude, through at most 11 months out of the entire year, you got Santa Claus completely to yourself. But of course, he became resentful and naughty. So he maybe couldn't see that or whatever. But he uh, broke the elf's code because he just became more naughty and naughty and naughty. Uh, they gave like a list of 5 things I can't remember off the top of my head, but just like one of them was like enviness and stuff like that. He literally kind of took over the because you know how little Coke cans with Santa Claus image on them. He reprinted them with his image because he is like a pretty good inventor, but it's not as good as Santa. So this stuff is, you know, it's good, but it's a little off here and there. So because he became such a punk, he broke the curse and he ends up becoming human. Something he really despised because he still held a grudge against humanity all those years ago from hunting down his kind for their because their magic, you know, and it was harvested. Uh, so, uh, you know, that's why, you know, he has a grudge against Santa Claus because he kind of blames him for what happened. Um, so Belsnickel created this potion to make the elves go crazy, so Santa wouldn't have any backup. He sent the Yule Cat, which was a distraction to lure Santa out of the village. That's why he found the kids. The cat attacked the reindeer. Well, Dasher intervened. Dash got injured in the process, which Belsnickel didn't intend for that to happen, but that's one of the issues he has. He, you know, he's so envious, or he thinks about himself, and he's full of kind of anger. He's, you know, because he's not evil per se. He's misguided more so. So he didn't realize that he's working with like what is equivalent to be like a saber-tooth freaking tiger. What he think was going to happen when we send an animal like that in a pen full of deer. I mean, it doesn't take a zoologist to kind of point out what might happen. Anyway, he orchestrated all this so he can steal the star, so he can use it at the South Pole to create his own village to become the new Santa Claus, because he figures he can do it better. In this tug of war him and Santa have over the star, it ends up breaking. Belsnickel makes his escape in the process, while Mrs. Claus takes care of Dasher. Jack helps out by going and finding this root that's growing on the top of a mountain nearby. So she sends him out with one. She gives him 2 Christmas cookies. One explodes. The other gives him courage. And no shade on the kid, but this kid is it seems like a dumb as a box of rocks, or at the most got too much anxiety. And you, Mrs. Claus, you should have known better. I get your point on what you were trying to do, but you should be the adult in this. And it's like, okay, let me label one of these at the very least for you, so you'll know which one to eat and one not to eat. But it's just like, I'm like, you shouldn't bank on a kid who probably at the most 12 years old and seems to be going through some stuff. Like I wouldn't chance it. Otherwise, you might have a death on your hands. But while that is going on, Santa Claus and Kate goes and to like the Turkey to find the Elves village again, and they managed to create another star for him. But for some reason, the leader of the elves mentions that this could be very dangerous, and there is no danger involved. It seems like they did the exact same thing as they did many years ago. Zero danger. It's like I would have at least wanted to see like him trying to wield this divine power. Because let's be honest, it's like the Star of Bethlehem is literally like a cornerstone of divinity, and that could probably at least hurt Santa in some kind of way. Like he's wielding something that's more powerful than him. As powerful he is, it's something that's on a whole nother tier. It should be some, I don't know, feeling like he's burning or something, like just from the sheer power of it. It's like a sliver of God's power, something like that, just to show that this could be dangerous, because the first time was rough, or there wasn't that many people around the world, or it was still like early stages, so it wasn't as potent, or at least it was potent, but now it's, I don't know, it just shows that there could be danger if something's not done exactly right. Kind of like the Dragon Ball Z fusion dance. If like you don't put the fingers together at the exact moment, it could warp everything off. Something like that. But anyway, everything goes right, so I'm not sure why you even added that little criteria. So they make the way back, and they get attacked by Belsnickel, who, instead of having reindeer and a sleigh, he has some form of like not a hot rod, but some kind of, look like something from Star Wars, like a pod racer or something, being pulled by, instead of reindeer, is jacalotes, which is like a weird animal hybrid of a jackal and a coyote. It's a weird, ugly little things too. And I like moments with Santa Claus where he doesn't approve of what Belsnickel is doing. There's moments of his inventions where there's some level of respect and pride behind it too. Belsnickel attests some kind of time warp device on Santa's sleigh after he steals the star and traps him temporarily back in Boston of 1990. So, realizing that the device requires AAA batteries of all things, to warp him back through the portal, Kate goes to find the batteries while Santa tries to reunite the spirit of Christmas around this time, because it was very low around this point in time. There was there was like a blizzard going on, and they're at the airport, and everything is kind of grounded, and people are miserable and wanting to leave around this time because it's the holidays. Everybody's on edge, so he needs Christmas spirit to really kick things off with the reindeer, because they're a little low on juice, and they've been like pulled all which way in the third. Also on top of that, they're down the reindeer because that one's recovering. So while realizing it, forgetting that the money that Kate has on hand is a 2020 bill, which, of course, the cashier behind the desk assume is counterfeit because it's 1990. That particular bill wouldn't be created for another a decade or two. It was like 2 decades or two. Like, I'm off on my math right now. Like, come on. Like, check something, because my math. I know my math is off. Is it 20? 20, 30 years. Yeah, 30 years. It's 30 years off. Don't know why Santa didn't, maybe Santa doesn't have it, but he has magic. I'm pretty sure you can just will a bill out of thin air to pay for some funky batteries. But maybe he sort of manipulated this situation, because just like with the brother in the previous film, all things like happen for a reason. Uh, he knew she was gonna get busted for this, for trying to pass off a bill that won't be amended for 30 years. Uh, she gets put in the airport holding, where she won't realize it until later, is sitting with uh, her father, who's a child at this point. And just like with the ornament with the brother, the daughter has a moment where she can finally get some closure for herself, where like she get a bit of wisdom from her father, what she didn't realize was her father, and she gives like a after he helps her get out of the security, which for some reason, not for some reason, the security couldn't get them because Santa Claus made this big musical number, which once again drags down the entire film. I don't care for it personally. I'm not saying it isn't done well, but it's just, I don't like musicals like that. But she has some bit of closure because she could not get over her father's death, but this kind of gives her some peace, knowing that like her father will be okay with what's going on with the mom. So they make their way back to the present, take back the star, and Mrs. Claus, after Jack eats the cookie to supposed to give him courage, but it's a placebo. Another, everything happens for a reason kind of shtick. And we use the grenade cookie to chase off the Yule Cat while he runs back with the root, so that way Mrs. Claus can make a potion to cure the elves, where she puts the powder into the cannons that's supposed to shoot out snow from the outside in, shoots the potion to fix the elves so they can get back to normal. And once they do, they fix everything back up that they wrecked. The star is restored, and Santa and Belsnickel reconcile when Santa hands him the first toy that they worked together on, this time completely completed. Belsnickel, kind of is more apologetic and everything like that. Comes to realize his errors of his ways, and he reverts back to his elvish form, and everybody welcomes him back kind of easily, but it's Christmas, so it's kind of like it's a season of forgiveness, that thing. So, Christmas is restored. Santa takes Jack and Kate back to Cancun. He sees Teddy, waves hello and goodbye, and they proceed to tell Teddy about the adventure, which still kind of weird that he doesn't get like a moment on the adventure at all. Kind of weird. But Kate goes pretty much apologizing and welcoming Bob to the family kind of thing. They gather together to to sing "Oh Christmas Tree" at the same time as Santa and Mrs. Claus and all the elves sing "Oh Christmas Tree," which honestly, like I said, I'm not a fan of musicals, but this one is played very good. Which seems appropriate for this moment. Um, and it kind of treat Belsnickel like a possible child of theirs, but I don't know. I don't know. They probably, if they make a third one, they probably should actually have them have a kid. Uh, Maybe cast Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's actual kid, Wyatt Russell, as a son of Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. That would be probably appropriate because like he is on like a tear in Hollywood right now because right uh Wyatt Russell is like doing very well right now as and he just recently was casted as like uh what is it? I keep getting confused with somebody else. I think Bill Pullman's kid. I keep confusing them two for some reason. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm confusing him with the Century. No, he is U.S. agent in Marvel comic. Sorry, no, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which he's actually pretty good. They try to make him seem like some kind of a-hole, but they're doing a piss poor job because he's actually not, really bad, or at least not portrayed as some kind of smuck like they want him to be. Uh, so he should cast. If they make a Santa Claus, sorry, not Santa Claus. If they make Christmas Chronicles 3, they should cast Wyatt Russell as uh, uh, Santa Claus Jr. or something to actually, give them a kid. Might want to, I don't know, uh, do some timey-wimey BS just to explain uh, his rapid growth. Especially if they bring him back a couple of the children from the previous two movies and have maybe Kate, who probably be in her late teens, getting to 20s, and meeting Russell and have some kind of romance between each other. That I think you can swing it, pretty much. But that was pretty much the Christmas Chronicles 2. I mean, not as good as the first one, but there are moments in this that I really, really like. They definitely had like a bigger budget than before, but once again, they managed it pretty well. Chris Columbus is always very good with Christmas movies and whimsy and everything like that, managing child actors pretty well. Although, like I said, like I don't care for them leaving out Teddy the way they did. I don't care for uh, the kid who plays Jack. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't like a standout, honestly. And also, uh, uh, Dennison, who plays Belsnickel, I think he was, in my opinion, the weakest link of the entire film. Because, although it's not really fair, because Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn are just like titans of acting. So it's like, I don't know. It's a little unfair. And they still early in their acting careers by comparison. But, man, oh man, it's like Dennison, he'd been in quite a few stuff and acted with A-listers before. It just seems like, I don't know. I think it's like an equivalent. It's like a combination of like young experience mixed with being typecast, because he's doing kind of the same shtick as he did in Deadpool 2. Kind of, sorta. It's just I don't know, man. I did not care for his performance in this. I've seen worse child acting, but than his, but still, it's like, man, he was not good. I'm sorry. Um, but it's just here's the thing. I do want to see him progress. I do, because he's one of those newish actors that is not a nepo baby. He actually can, like, he just need more better material to work off of, and a little bit more in his repertoire, so he can gain the experience and actually like really show some range. So you just need more time. I can definitely see a future with this guy, because I'm pretty sure at some point in the future this guy will be winning an Oscar for something. You just need the right material and the right role. But anyway, that was the Christmas Chronicles 2. Uh, I'll have this up on YouTube soon. I'm gonna be going playing Marvel Rivals, playing some more uh, Rogue for a little bit. But let me know in the comments below what you think of the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2, and I will see you guys soon. And I want to review a few more things before the last week of Christmas is over. Then I'll take a bit of a break from reviews for the first week of January. Then get into the next week. Well, depending on what comes first, because I might be busy with acting myself by the second week of January. So I'll decide which one. It's going to be one of the two, either the first week or the second week of January. I might take a bit of a break from reviews. But January will be like the month where I'll be, because starting the new year, I wanted to do a tradition where I want to review a lot more animated films, because it's hard for me to try to fit some throughout the year. But I figured like the first day should be something, because animated films are usually like a feel good type of thing, especially a lot of animated classics. So I want to like start off the new year with like more of like a feel good kind of stuff. So I got at least a couple in mind that I really want to talk about, but I'm gonna leave that as a surprise, because those will be the first two I'll be reviewing of the January New Year. So anyway, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Take care and Merry Christmas, everybody. Peace.